This was once the home of William Cooley and his family. He was a farmer who came down from up north in the early 1800s and was a pretty successful farmer. Florida was pretty well contested by the Spanish, and he wanted to get away from the Spanish. So he came down here to the New River, which is the main river that runs through Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he built a little house and a little plantation right here. This little spot on the river was called Cooley's Landing. And he became very friendly with the Native Americans here. And he continued to thrive and succeed and prosper, and he became a judge. And the Indian troubles continued to work their way southward towards this area, and there was a chief here in the area who was either a Seminole or a Calusa. His name is easy to remember. It sounds like Alabama. It's Alibaba, A-L-I, but it sounds like Alabama. So Chief Alabama and a bunch of natives attacked some place and attacked some dude, and they were brought before the judge, who was William Cooley here. And Cooley found against Chief Alabama. And the Indians didn't like that. So they waited until Cooley and a couple of his employees left, and they had gone down towards the beach, which is real close to here. This river flows out to the ocean. And while Cooley and his men were gone, the Indians attacked the home and killed Cooley's wife, his children, his little baby. It was nasty business. Cooley heard about it, gathered up some folks, escaped just a little bit south of here, and came back the next day and saw that the farmstead had been burned to the ground. News spread quickly, word got around, reprisals led to incidents which led to allegations. It was bad business. It basically kicked off the Seminole War. And now it's just a beautiful boat ramp and marina. Pay your dock fee. Moor your boat up here on this beautiful little patch of land on the New River. Try not to think about the massacre 200 years ago. We'll have to come back here in 2036, won't we? 2036 will be exactly 200 years. Now, when that war kicked off, President Jackson contacted his friend Major William Lauderdale and gave him orders to march his army down to the New River and deal with these Indians, which is what they did. They marched down from the Lake Worth, which was Fort Lake Worth. It's only about 30 miles north of here. They marched down, cutting their way through the muck and the jungle along a path which is now known as Military Trail. Got here, the Indians had all run off and left. They'd all head out west to a little village that they had out in the Everglades called the Pine Island Ridge. So Major Lauderdale followed after them. They basically approached the camp, killed a few Indians. The rest of the Indians all scattered out into the swamp and booked it out of there. And then Lauderdale and his army hightailed it back to their little temporary camp on the riverbank. And they only stuck around for a month. Then they took off and went back to Tennessee. And Lauderdale died on the way back to Tennessee. Let's take a quick walk around Cooley's Landing. It's very nice, it's very pretty, so let's enjoy the views. But while we're at it, let's remember Cooley's family, the Cooley Plantation and Cooley Massacre. This little section here through this gate is the Fort Lauderdale River Walk, which is a park. Restaurants, hotels, apartments, condos, and you can walk along this river for, I don't know, half a mile or something like that. It's a nice place to come and just walk along the river. Look at the boats, look at the houses, look at the tall buildings, watch the boats go by. It's pretty cool, this floating dock. This is out front of a place here called the Huizenga Pavilion. I think they have live concerts out here in the evenings and lots of cool stuff. See if I can get a wave. Can I get a wave from the boaters? Of course we can. Here's the statue of Sandy Ninninger. It's a local hero. He came from right here in Sailboat Bend, World War II in the Pacific. He charged a machine gun nest and killed like 40 Japanese. Shown with, what is that, a Springfield? Let us not forget. So you can see why it's called Sailboat Bend. River comes down this way, goes out that way. Basically a 90-degree bend right there, isn't it? Down here real close to Stranahan House, which was the first residence in Fort Lauderdale. Not sure we're gonna get that far or not.
Can you take a picture of it?
Sure, I can take a picture.
Thank you.
Of course. Are you guys visiting?
Yes, we're from Texas.
Oh, nice. Very good. My dad lives in Texas. That's great. Like this is good?
Yes.
Yeah. Where in Texas? Austin? Oh, that's cool. My dad is up north. It's hot, huh? You guys picked a good time, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. You guys have a great time.
And you?
Look at them and make sure you like them. I can do more if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Enjoy Florida. Are you going to go to Disney?
No.
Good.
It's too hot.
It's too hot and it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Stay in Fort Lauderdale. That was nice. Here's a nice statue to the Navy League, Fort Lauderdale. What I think might be cool now is let's follow in the footsteps of Major Lauderdale and where he headed after he arrived here. Let's go up to the site of the Battle of Pine Island Ridge. All right, short little drive from the site of the massacre. This looks like a beautiful residential neighborhood, and it is. But it's also the site where the Indians fled to because they had a village on this elevated, elongated strip of land. It's called the Pine Island Ridge. If you've lived in Broward County for any amount of time whatsoever, you know Pine Island Road. And now you know what Pine Island Road is named after. It's named after this Pine Island because when this was a swamp in the Everglades, this ridge was an island, stood above the water. And right here is the Major William Lauderdale statue. I love that there's this little bird on the base of the statue, right at the foot of the horse. I'm standing on the highest point of the Pine Island Ridge right here, which is the highest point in Broward County. So this is currently the highest hand in Broward County. Unfortunately, it's directly under the path. Unfortunately, it's directly under the path of all the aircraft heading to Fort Lauderdale Airport. That's also annoying. So there's this beautiful pathway you can walk along the ridge, and you can see that I'm elevated about even with the top of the houses around here. So this Pine Island Ridge is elevated about 30 feet above sea level, which for South Florida is pretty high up. So Lauderdale and his Tennessee volunteers departed from Lake Worth, where the Army fort was, hacked their way through the scrub brush all the way down to Cooley's Landing, site of the massacre, and then chased all the Indians all the way out here to the Pine Island Ridge. This is a private residential neighborhood, so unless you're coming to check out the statue or to walk along that nature preserve, I don't recommend coming to visit. There's really no parking. It's a residential neighborhood. It's not really set up for people to come and visit or as a park. So the Indians fled into the swamps. They all got away. They did leave some of their supplies behind, which were confiscated by the Army, and that did weaken the tribes quite a bit. Army packed up, headed back north to Tennessee, left through the port of Tampa. Major Lauderdale got sick along the way, died, never made it home. There's history right in your backyard, folks. You just got to find it. What must it be like to live in one of these houses? Right here on the Pine Island Ridge, and I bet maybe 1 out of 100 of these houses has any idea at all about the Battle of Pine Island Ridge. It's kind of how it always is.